Why did this thing mute itself again? Are you... Okay, so apparently I was just talking about how I had no April Fools prepared, but apparently the laptop decided to play an April Fool prank on me. Randomly muting itself. Alright, so once again, greetings Ranger fans. Jake here again for another edition of Database Rangers Power Reviews, where we take a look back in our classic episode of Database Rangers Power Reviews as we count down the 100 weeks to the 100th and final episode. So, welcome again to Dyrano, Jenny C, Nightwing Josh, Lex. Good to see you all again. I don't know, this is the second time that it's just randomly muted itself, and I have no idea what's going on there. It's super weird. We've been doing this for over 70 weeks now, and it's just randomly started doing that these last 2 weeks. No clue what's going on. But before I got pranked by my computer here, I was saying I just had no energy to do an April Fool's gag this year because we've been so busy house hunting. It's just been very much focused on that. Yes, I'm fairly certain that MJ has not touched this laptop. They were taking care of RJ, putting them down to bed. But yeah, we've been looking at houses. A little tired. I've been trying to get a jump on all the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs, and they've been moving along. I took a little break from working on the scripts, even though I only have like 1.5 left to finish, because I wanted to make sure that I got a jump on my filming and editing, and am currently switching gears over to working on 97. So there were some bits of 97 that I still need to finish writing up. I've filmed some stuff, but I need to finish writing a few parts of it. So I've been switching gears from the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs of Dino Fury into working more intensely on episode 97 of Power Reviews, because that's going to be the big thing for me this month. But the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs, I've been filming them, I've been editing them. The one for this weekend is already complete, and that will be posted this Sunday at 11. The ones for next week, and I think the week after, I've filmed both of them, and I'm half-edited one of them. So I'm finally getting ahead of myself on rapid run-throughs and deeper looks. And I'm planning on filming another one, at least one more, after I finish up this stream, to work on making sure that I have everything for the month of April filmed in advance, so I can really double down on work for 97 during April. I have not seen Moon Knight. We still do not have, we still haven't gotten around to picking up Disney Plus. We'll probably do that at some point. Definitely looks very interesting. And yeah, United We Stand and United as One are both very repetitive episode titles for Megaforce and Super Megaforce. I will agree on that. I mean, we've also just had episodes from different seasons with the same names. Like, we've had, I think, multiple episodes already. No, not multiple episodes. We've had one episode of Dino Fury, I think, already that was previous episode title that was Ancient History, but at least one other one was close. They ride a fine line. Like, I think there was like a "the" instead of an "a" in some of these spots. Oh, and I see Dyrano's been getting into Transformers. Jenny's getting ready for her concert on Thursday, so best of luck there. And I'm sorry that you've been having an unpleasant time at school, Lex. Sorry to hear that. I hope that things turn around. So, Now that we've sorted out, the audio issues, everything else, got a little caught up on what the state of the channel is, let's dive into our little commentaries by always doing our 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Black lives matter. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Fascism is bad. And number 3, say it with me, chat. Superheroes are fun. So let's dive right in with our favorite superhero, one, Mr. Database Ranger, as we dive into episode 72 of Database Ranger's Power Reviews, our review of Power Rangers Super Megaforce, episode 12, United as One.
Previously on Power Review.
Love that sound. I know it's my own voice, but I love the previously on Power Reviews bit every time. And again, just trying to recap all of the stuff that's been going on with year 2. And here, this is a greater focus on Guy and what's been going on with Guy. Just as last time we were focusing on Mayo. And also covering the fact that we do have 4 different squeeze at this point.
Completely off limits.
And I really enjoy having the camera be such an integral part of the show. Like, to the extent that the failure of the camera is a hook for the plot point, repeatedly, for multiple episodes in a row, building up to the reveal that we get at the end of the next episode. Oh, really? Didn't think I had an ad on this one. Let me skip over this. I apologize.
Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to Phase 2.
And basically, my blocking here with Guy was, okay, you're just gonna try and do what looks to be like martial arts forms where you're hitting pressure points. And
Second date. Congratulations. Oh man, it was awesome.
And I like how Guy is just being supportive.
Which was really good, by the way. I brought you some leftovers. Thanks. I take it everything went well?
And of course, the banana-covered pizza is still being a running gag, having kicked that off originally with episode 61.
It was enlightening. Where did you end up? Jungle Karma Pizza. Wait, the Jungle Karma Pizza? Well, it was an East Coast branch, but yes, that was bad.
I like the acknowledgement that this was an East Coast branch because Power Reviews does happen on the East Coast.
What was it like?
Because I live on the East Coast.
Something is happening over there. A battle is brewing. The legendary battle? Well, I don't know if I would quite call it that.
No pizza, I believe, in this episode. Or at least no physical pizza.
That's not what I meant. The legendary battle is supposed to be the season finale of Super Megaforce. They've been hyping it up for years. It's supposed to feature every Ranger.
And this is the first actual reference, direct reference, to the legendary battle.
Yeah, they've been really hyping that thing.
We had the little nudge towards it back in episode in episode 66 when Guy was at Jungle Karma Pizza, and here we're following up on it again, kind of hyping it up since it's the big year 2 finale.
So let's take a look at episode 12 of Power Rangers Super Megaforce, United as One. On the Armada flagship,
and of course, yes, TV has programmed Guy's DVR for Power Rangers episodes.
She just wait. Do they not know what a germ is? I determined that if you're injected with happiness from humans, you'll get better right away. I'm gonna go with no. I don't even know where to start on how much is medically wrong with that. Anyway,
same for me, guys. Same for me. Sometimes Super Megaforce just does such weird wackiness with its dubbing, with its voiceover characters. This is another Gokaiger episode that I've seen where this is another episode where I've seen the Gokaiger source footage. I still need to get back to finishing Gokaiger. I took a break while working on other stuff. And of course, DB is still a little bit smitten from his date with Mayo, even though, again, it's not really DB. Or at least not DB and fully in control of himself. But I very much enjoyed sort of playing around with this idea of having a having a character be secretly evil, being an alternate version of their, being under mind control basically, without it affecting their personality, without them having any clear tells in their behavior. And I really wanted to experiment with that and see if I could make it still feel like it made sense narratively. And I felt like we hit that. These two episodes especially are an attempt to sort of feel like they're just breather episodes in between major plot points. But obviously there's stuff going on in between the scenes. Oh yeah, and there's Three's a Crowd is another one between Wild Force and RPM, yeah. And Endgame and Super Megaforce, Endgame and RPM and Endgame and Super Megaforce are really close, except one has a space and one doesn't.
Do Megaforce have boiler room? No idea. It never came up in my training. Anywho, they corner the monster, but he shrinks back down again.
Yeah, this boiler room set is just really, like they went so hard on the original footage in this episode for no apparent reason. Like there was no reason to have that Megaforce fight before that Megaforce mode fight before transforming to Super Megaforce mode.
Really? More damage than giant monsters inflict on a weekly basis. Honestly, they probably did more damage themselves while shooting at their own cockpit screen. Regardless, Noah takes the lead on repairs, calling on Tensu for blueprints and assigning Jake and Gia to patch the hole while he and Troy work to fix the busted hydraulic pipes. That we never actually saw damaged.
This one patch feels like it's such a weirdly simple thing. And
I likewise question this course of action.
I still like just the way that she pitched this idea is just so ridiculous. Everything about this is so ridiculous. And having now seen the Gokaiger episode,
very uncomfortable. They seem to be making a habit of that lately. Emma's bust the monster through the doors, and she decides to lure him in by making
like all of Orion's awkwardness is very weird because like I can understand it to an extent, but it's clear that they're really leaning into what the behavior was like in the source material, where it was a far more where the Silver Ranger was far more over the top ridiculous, and the Pink Ranger was like a very well respected proper lady, like a princess of a planet. And quick costume changes are just more of a trope there as well. But this whole sequence of Emma and Ryan going through all the costume changes, like it's fun and wacky, but it's again much like with Victor and Monty or any of the other like really cartoonish physical comedy moments with human characters. It just doesn't quite work.
Also a valid question. Or how they managed to change clothes so fast. Also valid. Well, there's a simple explanation.
Thank you, Gose. Thank you for that simple explanation.
In an attempt to get the staff away from him, but he once again recognizes his two opponents, knocking them away from him and stealing their ambulance as a getaway car. Fortunately, the authorities are quick to spot the speed vehicle. I don't believe this.
this episode is just so incongruous with so much else surrounding it. It's so weird. And it's so fun to just have Guy and DB just have a straight up regular episode where they're just going back and forth on this so much.
You do realize? Yeah, I know they're Power Rangers, but you know what I mean. Indeed. Regardless, they're Floyd yet again, and after whipping.
I mean, I'm sure the actors had a lot of fun filming this episode. But one thing that's really nice as far as producing this episode, this review, was that it was again one of the very few reviews with virtually no special effects.
So she admits that they were just messing around up until this point. Well, at least now they're finally getting
the police car, the ambulance, the costumes, all of it just made so little sense at all.
And smashing it to restore all the happiness that had been stolen. One wonders why they didn't just attempt that in the first place.
It really is surprising how much original footage is in this episode. And how much they took from the Sentai source material in terms of things.
The other Rangers finally joined them in the park, with the Megazord now fully repaired and ready to go.
And then her and the little kid with the kite is just the cheapest way I've ever seen to write a Ranger out of source material.
What is wrong with you? How does a kite supersede the fate of the world? This is just... I don't even... Where are your priorities? Let's just finish this thing.
Dave and I had a lot of fun filming this episode. It's an episode that I don't think really stands out like a lot of others do, because it is just a very simple, straightforward review for the most part. But it's just fun to be able to just sit down and just have two friends talking about the episode and being on the same page basically the whole time. And it's really a turnaround and really shows the evolution of the relationship of Guy and DB. Because even though this isn't the real DB, this is, there have only been really like two, well, arguably three proper reviews between Guy and DB. The first one, DB had to drag Guy into it, and Guy was very disgruntled the whole time. The next time, Guy was literally tied up during the whole review, and it was an interrogation technique. And then here, we have them, Guy very willingly engaging with DB on this, and them functioning as friends, which again is ironic because it's not DB. Both this episode and the previous episode really demonstrate how much the characters have come to trust DB and how close their relationships have become, which is what makes it just so rough and so brutal when we get the reveal that this wasn't the DB that they thought it was. Oh, was this monster? This monster was the same voice actor as Redbot? Oh, that's cool. Was that Byron Cole, I believe, correct? Where did I get the Phantom Ranger helmet? That was from Anarchy cosplay. It took me a while to get. It took about 1.5 years before they delivered, but it has really saved me a lot of time. Since previously I had been doing the CG helmet for so many episodes, and that was just such a tiny year. Yeah, it's super weird that they claim the Megazord is called the Q-Rex Megazord, and then they don't do anything with Time Force.
Silly costumes prioritized over direct engagement, playing photographer in the middle of an operation, and flat out abandoning your comrades.
And again, the photography thing is something that worked for the source material, but not really here.
There's just some really bizarre incongruities here.
Like,
illness is supposedly caused by a virus, but somehow is something that can be cured by human happiness.
like, Orion's counterpart, Guy, was a huge fanboy, so it made sense for him to constantly be snapping photos. But there's nothing here that that really works with Orion's backstory and Orion's character. There's so many bits that just clash because it's not the same character.
One more example of the baffling string of creative decisions we've seen out of these last few episodes. And what makes it worse is that this doesn't bring us any closer to understanding how this legendary battle is supposed to come about. Maybe we were expecting too much. I'm sorry about that. It's not your fault.
And of course, the legendary battle isn't foreshadowed at all.
Maybe, but who knows what I'll be going back to. Between this upcoming battle and the Rift. Didn't you say that it causes temporal distortion? Yes.
Oh, Guy.
You're thinking what I'm thinking. It's getting worse. Causality itself is being compromised. And this episode is proof of that. Between this and all the random Sentai teams.
This was one of the big things I really liked digging into. And I know that Power Rangers isn't this way anymore. But playing into how Super Megaforce's issues with continuity and consistency and internal logic was actually supposed to be representative of a major crisis happening in the Power Rangers universe.
I'm not even human. I'm a simple organic biomechanism. I don't even know who made me or why.
And this raises another question that's popped up in '96.
Sparkling personality. You're a terrible liar. Oh.
This is such an ironic little conversation here.
You are incapable of being anyone but yourself. And in my line of work, there's something refreshing about that. Thanks, God. It means a lot. Hey, you want to go bust out those leftovers?
But it's again just there's so much tragedy to these little moments of such genuine trust and friendship. Nope, not trying to restart it. Of just genuine trust and friendship that's, of course, gets shattered the moment the camera goes out. And I still feel like just such a monster for coming up with this storyline. I am proud of it to an extent, because, I feel like it was a very different take on the whole Evil Ranger saga. But did Guy get to eat his pizza? As much as I want to say yes, I feel like the answer is no. I will admit, I only really know what I put on the screen and what I intend to put on the screen. And since I never really intended to put these moments on the screen, I always kind of left them up for interpretation exactly how the captures went down. And yeah, that is true. The random Sentai teams have now been incorporated through the comics, which has been trying to do its own repair job on Super Megaforce, much like I did with Power Reviews. But it's, obviously this was years before the comics even started. And I very much wasn't expecting to still be working on this storyline so many years later. For this version of Vengeance, this is pre-Beast Morphers. This is 100% pre-Beast Morphers. Because this was 2014. This was 5 years before Beast Morphers came out. So I had no idea that Beast Morphers was even going to be a thing. But yeah, when it came to figuring this all out, well, here's one of the things. This version of Vengeance isn't quite the same version of Vengeance. This is a version of Vengeance that is based off the Vengeance base code that Kay had records of in the workstation due to her due diligence, so that she would have sort of like how you may have like samples of a strain of a virus on hand in case you need to develop a cure. So she still had that information. And then it was stolen by the Morpotsners and twisted using that same demon spirit that was inside them, which is why it requires the exorcism later on. It is very much an alternative version of Vengeance, as opposed to the one that's encountered in Beast Morphers. So there's always like these splintered, parallel events. So this is one offshoot of Vengeance, just like Evox is a different offshoot of Vengeance. And what's my favorite part about putting these episodes together, and my least favorite part? I mean, really the best part of most creative pursuits for me is those moments where you can see things coming together. And that happens at multiple different stages. Like when you're writing it or when you're first brainstorming it and you have the idea for the episode. That's great, because it's like, oh, this is a great idea. I love this idea, and there's a lot of excitement there. When you're putting the script together and you hit a really good scene and you nail it, that's a great feeling. When you're filming something and it's really satisfying and you just hit the marks just so, that can be really satisfying. When you finally get that special effect together, that can be really satisfying. When you finally see the whole episode come together, that's really satisfying. Those moments where things just come into focus at all the different stages, those are always really satisfying moments. And of course, whenever I can do that while having fun with my friends, because as much as things can get a little, rigorous at times, we do often have fun and we have good bloopers, as some of you have seen. But then there's also, as much as you got the peaks, you also have the troughs, and so you get those slogs that can really be rough. When you're really stuck on something where you just need to keep pushing through and pushing through and pushing through, and it's like, okay, what I gotta do is just gotta work it through, and it's just taking forever, and you're tired, and you gotta, you're like, okay, all right, I had dinner, and now I need to film a scene. And to film the scene, I need to get out the camera, I need to get out the lights, I need to get out the set, and I need to push this here, and this is really heavy, and I gotta do this scene over and over and over again, and it just gets really exhausting, and it just feels like you're pushing yourself so far, and you just don't have the energy, and you're not in one of those exciting points. So a lot of that ends up happening during various parts of the editing process when you're in the early stages of a lot of the effects. And where it's just like, especially the garbage matting stuff that I was doing for compositing for a lot of the show, where you're just going frame by frame and just tweaking little bits and pieces, and the computer just isn't responding fast enough, so you move something, and then you'll have to wait a moment until it actually moves. That sort of stuff is probably the biggest thing, the frustrations, especially when the computer's not being up to speed with what you need it to be doing. Do I plan on releasing bloopers videos of DRPR in the future? I would love to. I've definitely saved tons of bloopers. I've saved every piece of footage possible when it comes to power reviews, because you never know what you might need to go back and reference. And I've actually spent this past year, year plus, a year and a couple months, going through uh, all those files from the early footage and just actually sorting them through into their own individual folders, because there was literally a single folder for like the first 2 years of power reviews with all the video files, and it was like there were like 10,000 files in there between the video files, the audio files, and the reference files that Premiere auto generates. And so for the past year, every week when I create one of these new thumbnails, I go into the old episode. I I check which files it used, put them all into their own folder for that episode, reconnect the editing file to all of those repositioned episodes, or all those repositioned video files, and then I'll, once everything's been reconnected, then I'll pick my my screenshots for the thumbnail. So that's been something where it's just like a couple hours each week. I've been doing file management, and I actually did a bunch of it this month while I didn't have stuff to film because I was still writing stuff. So I only had the brain space for writing in the morning, so I was using my zombie brain space in the evening to just be like, okay, this episode has this file, this file, this file, this file, this file. Okay, finding this file, this file, this file, this file, this file, moving over here. Okay, reconnect the link to this file, this file, this file, this file, this file. Delete the old files. Okay, now they're all self-contained in one folder with the file for the actual episode. Okay, now I'll do the same thing for the next episode. And some of these episodes have dozens of files, dozens of video clips. So I'm just been going through, and yeah, I'll probably find a way to archive everything. So it's been a very long, slow process. Oh, and with regards to the bloopers, I'd love to do a release. I don't know when, because, obviously, 90 plus episodes, 100 episodes ostensibly, knock on wood, by the end of this year, will be a lot to go through to mine bloopers. Like, I only mined out, like, a few for episode 92, which was really fun. But I'd love to find more, and just assemble, like, maybe a blooper supercut. Oh, flash drive? No, these are all on my hard drives. No, this would not fit on flash drives. I have terabytes of footage from power reviews. And that's true. That was a deliberate choice. Because I've gone back and forth on how characters can review episodes that they are featured in. And I decided there's just, to a certain extent, too much of a contrast of perspective to make it really work properly. So I usually have them review things that they are tangential to. Like, later when we have the in the driver's seat review, we have DB as Venjix reviewing the RPM tribute episode. But he's still not reviewing an episode that he was in. He provides extra context surrounding that episode regarding previous episodes, not the episode itself. And with Dr. K, the only episode of RPM that she reviews is one that she reviews from inside her own mind, trying to access her own memories. And that really felt like the only way that was an appropriate framing device for a character to review an episode that they were prominently featured in. Is at least, you know, the next closest thing was Fall of the Phantom, where the landlord was reviewing the episode, and DB was the recipient of the review, who then provided feedback on the episode from his perspective. But yes, it is a lot of footage. Like I said, at least 10,000 files between the video files, the audio files, and the reference files generated by Premiere. Probably more than that. Probably well over 10,000 files. And yeah, just terabytes of footage at this stage. Well over 1 terabyte. Probably closer to like 3 or 4 terabytes at this point. I would need to double check. I'm not even sure anymore. And then, you know, there's also footage from live. I still have like footage from like the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs and live reactions and Jake Says Hi and Ranger logs, and I have footage of basically everything that we've done on this channel saved somewhere. Not that I probably really need to, especially with things like live reactions where there, you know, I have the video file of the export and encode. I could probably just save that and be fine. I'm just neurotic like that, where I just kept everything. So what happened to the 4th squee? The 4th squee does get called. I believe it does get called back with Dr. K right at the end of 74. You just can't see it because it does linger for a moment, but then once the camera goes dark, it should have teleported back with Dr. K. If I recall correctly how everything was structured, because during the year 2 finale, I believe we do have all squeeze up and running by that point. If I recall correctly. I may need to think that over to double check, because you do raise a good point. I did have it framed as if it was left behind in that moment. But I'll need to rewatch the episode and double check. I will rewatch the episode in 2 weeks, and I'll hopefully give you a better answer by then. Because as encyclopedic as my knowledge is, I will admit that there are certain details that I'm probably forgetting about here and there after after basically a decade of working on this series. There's definitely been a lot of work that's gone into it. More than I think I really ever anticipated. Although to a certain extent I knew that once I started to slip on my deadlines, I knew it was going to take a very long time. Once year 2, if I recall correctly, actually, double checking the date, this was the last episode of year 2 that was actually in 2014. And it was only like it wasn't even a full week after episode 71 with Mayo, because this was such a quick episode to produce. And then it just became very challenging because of that, because of the Venjix eyes and all the other craziness that happens in the upcoming episodes. I don't have. I don't think I have anything like that. No, I just have the bloopers in the editing files. Is there an in-universe explanation for why the Phantom Ranger costume doesn't quite look right before episode 85? To an extent. I mean, out of universe, I've just been getting closer and closer to having, over time, having a better costume as I've worked through. But thematically, the idea is that over time, Database is becoming closer and closer to his true self as he learns more and more about who he truly is. And there is more. There is more to be revealed in the upcoming episodes. It's not. I wouldn't say that it's explicit. The costume is not really explicitly discussed, but there is some implicit stuff going on. That will be coming to a head in the final episodes. So, as much as there are certain things that feel like they might be, that's just that's just part of how the show is, because it's a no budget show, and we're always trying to replace things that are falling apart. I do have reasons for a lot of it. And I do look forward to, like, for instance, finally explaining Database's hairline, which is something that doesn't need explanation, but I got it anyway. Like, I'm sure nobody really anticipated that the apartment itself would have an origin story. But then we had the apartment's origin story in episode 92, and it's, like, pivotal to understanding the backstory of the characters. It's literally that I received the physical Phantom Ranger helmet while I was working on the early episodes of year 3, and episode 85, as we passed through the rift, just felt like the smoothest transition. When is what happening? Sorry, I think I may have missed. Because keep in mind, all of my responses are offset because there's a little lag between me receiving the chat and me responding to it. Yeah, the apartment twist. It's always funny when you just have something that just seems innocuous and just part of the show, and then has a major importance. Like the reveal of the Wii, which was there for a one-off gag in episode 2, had major significance in episode 48. That the camera, which was seemingly a one-off gag in, like, episode 10, ended up having major importance throughout the whole rest of the show. The explanation of DB's hairline? It's coming up. I won't say when, but it's coming up. There's just so many little bits and pieces where, like, at this stage where we're right at the end, I'm just going to be randomly throwing in little, like, random explanations of things as, like, one-off lines. And it's going to be like, wait, there's a reason for that? Wait, that's an explanation for that? Like, this is going to keep happening. Like, I know that, for instance, episode 96 just had, like, tons of reveals. Like, there were, like, for every conversation in that episode was yet another reveal that had additional questions layered on it. So yeah, there's going to still be more little reveals along the way. And we've still got some, I think, some good humor. Like I said, I'm still working on filming and writing portions of 97. It's one that got kind of skipped over a little bit in the writing because 98, 99, and 100 took so much more prominence when it came to people I was going to need for those final 3 episodes. But we're still going to have some more moments of good humor, good action, tons remaining reveals. Like, even up through the final episode, we will still be getting reveals to questions that we've been asking for a very long time. And then, of course, there'll be the final reveals of how's it all going to end, which I'm really looking forward to finally getting to, and I'm hoping that you all enjoy it. Hey, go for it. If you get the chance to pick up a Ranger costume, yeah, absolutely be Zero Gold. That's a great outfit. So, it's getting a little late now. I've been rambling for a little while. Thank you for so many questions. I appreciate it. I always love engaging with you guys on talking about the logic behind the show and the backstory and how certain reveals came together and teasing what's coming up, because there's always more coming up. Oh yeah, the last twist in '96. Yeah, I tried to deliver as many twists and turns to '96. Like, we are at that stage where it's really not even a matter of I'm trying not to hold things back anymore, and it's just a matter of, okay, we've got time. How many reveals do we have time for in this episode? How many reveals do we have time for in this episode? We gotta just get them all in. And I hope that the final twist of '96 didn't feel like it came out of nowhere. I tried to foreshadow it a little bit in '90, just to sort of place it there. I always like to do multiple bits of foreshadowing if I can, but I was a little limited. But we will absolutely be exploring that in the next episode. All right. Yep. What do I plan to do next? That is a very good question. I don't really know. From a creative standpoint, I really don't know. That has been the big question for me all year. And a lot of it is reliant upon what happens with the Power Rangers franchise next. We have no idea what 2023 is. It is April now, and we still have no announcement on what the next season is or anything surrounding it. We know that some project is being filmed over a brief window later this year, but no sign of a full Power Rangers season in the way that we know it. No sign that Simon Bennett is going to be working on the next project. So until I have more information about what's next for Power Rangers, it's really hard for me to say what happens next. And thank you for enjoying the twist of '96 and the fight scenes. I really wanted to really deliver good fight scenes on those, so I'm glad that you enjoyed them. The final one in particular was really. It's surprising how even with the compositing, things can come together surprisingly smoothly if you choreograph it just right. Even if you have multiple characters who are not in the same, cannot be filmed at the same time. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the clones. The clones, yeah, that was something I'd been planning for a very long time. The final 5 episodes of Power Reviews, so 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, I always knew, or at least I've known since I decided where the series would end. I've always known what would be those final 5 episodes to review, because these are the big 5 episodes of the original first 17 years of Power Rangers. Fighting Spirit was a very big, monumental single episode. We've got monumental episodes coming up for the final 4 as well. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be digging into '96 so hard when we get to it. That was a challenge to choreograph, and it was one that I really wanted to put even more work into than we did, but limitations of physicality. So let's close things out with our remaining 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Love is love. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Trans rights are human rights. And number 3, say it with me, chat, robots are cool. And we're going to keep digging into the psyche of our favorite robot, our favorite synth-organic biomechanoid, as we keep diving in next week. So, yes, I know I missed a chroma key on one shot in 96, and it kills me, and I hate that. Not too much I can do about it after the fact. Honestly, if you watch any episode of Power Reviews, you're going to find at least one error somewhere. I try, but it happens. Anyway, so until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.